I thought you were cleverer, Eva, marrying Michael. Guess you're just another gullible woman. I tightened my grip on the checkbook. What do you mean, Ava? Aaron took a step closer, an icy smirk on his face. Enough. Hand over the checkbook now, or we finalize the divorce. You have no idea what you're starting here. I spat back, feeling my pulse quicken. With a dismissive chuckle, he shrugged. We'll see about that. 5 years. That's how long it's been since Michael's accident. Aaron, Michael's best friend, was there from the start, supporting me through the grief. A year after Michael died, I remarried. Aaron seemed like a lifesaver, stepping in just when I needed someone. I convinced myself that he loved me. But now, with his demanding eyes locked on the checkbook, I saw it all clearly. The subtle lies, the mounting demands. Aaron was never in this for love. He wanted control, and I had let him weave his web around me. I handed over the checkbook slowly, watching Aaron's triumphant smile. Inside, I was boiling over, but outside I maintained my calm. Aaron flipped through, checking the entries. Good. Now let's talk about the account changes I've been considering for us. There it was again, that word us, but every time he said it, I felt more like a pawn than a partner. I didn't respond immediately, letting the tension linger. Michael would have been smarter about this, he added, his eyes not meeting mine. Those words hit like a punch to the stomach. Michael, always the comparison. Taking a deep breath, I willed my voice to stay steady. What exactly did you have in mind, Aaron? Just some reallocations, some investments. You'll be fine with it, he said, pocketing the checkbook. Investments. Right, for his mother's medical bills are more likely to continue his string of lavish purchases. What had happened to the man I thought I knew? Aaron, we need to talk. Seriously. I was losing my patience. This isn't working. He raised an eyebrow. Oh, it's working just fine for me. I couldn't hold back any longer. No, it's not, Aaron. You spend money like water. You're never home, and when you are, you're unbearable. This isn't a marriage. It's a transaction. You're draining me dry. Aaron's face twisted, his charming facade shattered. You think you can threaten me? You don't want this getting uglier than it already is. I took a step back, stunned by the venom in his voice. Are you threatening me? Just giving you a reality check, he said, voice low and menacing. Hand over the life insurance money, get ready for a nasty fight. It was in that moment I understood the full depth of his deceit. No more pretending, no more lies. With every word he spoke, he made my resolve stronger. I would outsmart him. Aaron didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. I'd do whatever it took to secure my life from him. He might think he's in control, but that was about to change. The first few months with Aaron were like a dream. We redecorated the house together, planned weekend getaways, and cooked dinner side by side. I began to believe that love had found me again. But gradually things shifted. Aaron started coming home late. At first he had excuses about meetings running over and work piling up. Then the reasons became vaguer. I stayed up waiting, but the silence was the loudest answer I got. One evening I confronted him as he walked in after midnight. Aaron, we need to talk. What's going on? Why are you always late? He shrugged, a hint of annoyance in his eyes. I've told you, Eva, work has been busy. Every night? Yes, every night. His voice rose, and for a moment I saw a stranger standing there. Why can't you understand? I'm doing this for us. I wanted to believe him, but his words felt hollow. The tension over money began soon after. Aaron demanded more allowance, explaining it was for his sick mother. I agreed without questioning, until I noticed the credit card statements. Expensive dinners, nightclubs, casinos. He wasn't helping his mother. He was enjoying himself. Aaron, I said, showing him the bills one morning. These charges don't seem right. We can't afford this lifestyle. He snatched the papers from my hand. I know what I'm doing, Eva. Mind your own business. But this is our money, I protested. We need to be responsible. Responsible, tearing the papers in half. You think you can lecture me about responsibility? You were the one sobbing over Michael's death. I'm the one keeping this house together. I bit my lip, anger welling up. Since when is wasting money responsible? Aaron's face darkened. You don't get it, do you? I'm done explaining myself. His attitude grew colder, his absences longer. The man I thought cared about me was fading, replaced by someone I barely knew. One night I returned home to find the living room lights dimmed. Aaron was at my laptop, fingers flying over the keyboard. What What are you doing? I demanded. Just managing our finances, he replied, not looking up. On my private account? I stepped closer, fury boiling over. Get out of there, now! He finally turned to face me, eyes narrowing. You think you're smart hiding money from me? Well, think again. I have every right to be here. You have no right to access my private accounts. We're married, Eva. Everything you have is mine, too. No, Aaron, that's not how it works. You're crossing a line. Give me the life insurance money from Michael's passing, or it's over. Your choice. His words were a slap in the face. I knew I couldn't trust him. That night, as Aaron slept soundly, I lay awake, plotting my next move. I'd protect myself and my future. There was no running from this now. I would outsmart him, and he wouldn't see it coming. I started working part-time at a local bookstore. It wasn't much, but every dollar mattered now. Aaron had drained our accounts to the point we were barely making ends meet. He spent more time out than in, and I knew I needed a backup plan. When Aaron wasn't home, my mind raced. I stashed bits of my earnings into a secret bank account he didn't know about. It was risky, but it gave me some control, a small fragment of hope. One evening, I got home from work, tired but satisfied. As I entered the house, I noticed the eerie silence. Aaron's car was in the driveway, yet the house felt empty. I went straight to my desk and gasped. Aaron was there, logged into my bank account. What are you doing? I asked, my heart hammering in my chest. He didn't even flinch. I'm managing our money. You're reckless, Eva. You need guidance. You can't just take control of my account. I moved closer, trying to pull the laptop away. Your account? He sneered, gripping the sides of the laptop. We're married. What's yours is mine. I yanked the laptop out of his hands. Enough, Aaron. You're not getting your hands on this money. It was Michael's insurance payout, for God's sake. Michael's dead, he spat back, venom in his voice. And if you don't watch it, you'll regret it. Divorce, Eva. Think about it. I have thought about it, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. And maybe that's exactly what I want. Aaron laughed, stepping back. Go ahead, Eva, but remember, I'll take every last cent. You think the courts will side with you? You're nothing without me. Shaken, I watched as he stormed out. My heart ached with a mixture of fear and anger. That night, I made a decision. Aaron wouldn't get another cent from me. I had to protect myself, and I had to do it now. The next morning, I visited the bank. I need to change my account details, I told the teller, hands trembling, new passwords, everything. The teller nodded, helping me secure my money. Leaving the bank, I felt a surge of resolve. When I got home, Aaron was lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He looked up, noticing the determination in my eyes. What are you up to now, Eva? Just making sure you don't steal any more from me, he smirked. Good luck with that. You can't outsmart me. But I knew I could. I pretended to comply with his wishes, all while closing the gaps. I packed a bag with essentials and a few precious memories of Michael. Then I called Jessie, my trusted friend. I need a place to stay, Jess, I said, desperation in my voice. Come over, Eva. We'll figure this out together. Leaving Aaron behind, I drove to Jessie's house, the weight of uncertainty lifting with every mile. This was only the beginning. I was ready to fight back, and Aaron was about to learn just how strong I could be. At Jessie's house, I finally felt a sense of safety. Jessie welcomed me with open arms. Stay as long as you need, Eva. You know I've got your back. Thanks, Jess, I said, setting my bag down. I don't know what I'd do without you. We'll get through this, she assured me, patting my shoulder. Let's get you settled. For the first time in months, I slept soundly. The next morning, I woke up with a plan. I need to contact my lawyer, I told Jessie over breakfast. Good idea. Cover all your bases. She nodded. And what about Aaron? I sighed. He's not backing down. I need to be careful. Jessie handed me her phone. Call your lawyer now. The sooner you start the process, the better. I dialed the number and explained my situation. I need to initiate divorce proceedings, and I need to protect my assets. Understood, my lawyer said. We'll start the paperwork. Make sure Aaron has no access to your accounts. Already done, I replied, feeling a bit more secure. And I'll need to notify the authorities. Aaron's threats are escalating. Keep records of everything he says or does, the lawyer advised. It'll help your case. After ending the call, I felt a sense of purpose. Jessie and I put together all the documentation, organized my finances, and ensured that Aaron couldn't touch a dime. As the days went by, Aaron became more desperate. He called repeatedly, leaving angry voicemails. "Eva, you can't run forever. Come back now, or you'll regret it." I saved every message, each one a piece of evidence. One evening, I received an email notification. Aaron had attempted to access our joint account, but was denied. His frustration was palpable even through the screen. "What's the next step?" Jessie asked, seeing the look on my face. "Divorce papers," I said firmly. "He needs to know I'm serious." Sending those papers felt like lifting a weight off my shoulders. I knew Aaron would be furious, but it was a necessary step. A few days later, Jessie and I were sitting together when my phone buzzed. It was Aaron. I answered, putting it on speaker. "You think you're smart, don't you? Sending those papers?" He was livid. "I'm protecting myself, Aaron," I replied calmly. "This is over." "No, it's not," he snapped. "You'll pay for this, I swear." "We'll see," I said and hung up. Jessie looked at me, concerned. "He'll get desperate now, Eva. Be prepared." "I am," I assured her. "I have to be." A sense of calm settled over me. I was taking control, no longer a victim to Aaron's games. Each step I took solidified my resolve. With Jessie's support, I began the process of revoking Aaron's access to everything connected to me. I changed locks, updated passwords, and informed everyone involved about the situation. Aaron's courage crumbled slowly but surely. He found himself cut off, no longer able to manipulate or control me. I watched from a distance as his fake facade started to fall apart, revealing the true coward behind the mask. I knew the ultimate face-off was coming, but until then, I kept my defenses strong, prepared for whatever Aaron had left in his arsenal. This was only the beginning, and I was ready for the fight. Aaron's arrogance boiled over when he realized I had sealed off all his access to the finances. One evening, as Jessie and I were catching up on the latest details, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Hello?" I answered tentatively. "You think you've won, Eva?" Aaron's voice was seething with anger. "You've just made the biggest mistake of your life." "That's your opinion," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "What do you want, Aaron?" "I want what's mine, and you will give it to me," he hissed. "You're not getting anything, Aaron. It's over." I hung up, feeling a mixture of fear and strength. Jessie looked at me, concern in her eyes. "He's not going to give up easily, Eva. Be careful." "I know," I sighed, "but I'm ready." The next day, I decided to take more decisive action. I went to the local police station to explain my situation. Officer James listened carefully, taking notes. "Based on what you've told me, we can file a restraining order against him," he said, handing me the paperwork. "It won't stop his calls, but it might make him think twice before showing up." "Thank you," I said, filling out the forms. "This means a lot." Returning to Jessie's place, I felt a little more secure. That evening, Jessie and I were having dinner when there was a loud knock at the door. Jessie peeked through the window and turned pale. "It's Aaron and his mother, Lydia." "Open up, Eva," Aaron shouted from outside. "We need to talk." I stood my ground. "Go away, Aaron. You have no right to be here." Lydia's voice cut through the air. "You'll regret this, Eva. We've done nothing wrong." "You've done plenty wrong," I snapped back. "Leave or I'll call the police." Aaron pounded on the door harder. "You can't hide forever." With shaky hands, I dialed 911. "There's a man at my door threatening me. I have a restraining order against him." "We're on our way," the dispatcher assured me. I hung up and glared at the door. "You're making this worse for yourself, Aaron." Minutes later, the police arrived. Officers led a furious Aaron and a downcast Lydia away. Aaron's final words, "This isn't over," echoed as they drove off. Jessie hugged me tightly. "You did the right thing, Eva. Stay strong." The next morning, I sent the divorce papers through certified mail, ensuring Aaron's access to everything connected to me was revoked. I needed to make sure he understood there was no way back. Later that week, Lydia's car was gone from Aaron's driveway. Word had spread quickly about their confrontation with the police. Jessie and I sat in the living room, a sense of relief washing over me. "It's not going to be easy, but I think we've turned a corner," I said. "You've got this, Eva," Jessie reassured me. "You're stronger than you know." I nodded, the weight of uncertainty lifting. The storm was far from over, but for the first time in a long while I felt ready to face it head-on. Every step forward was a step away from Aaron's toxic grip. The ultimate showdown was on the horizon, and I was prepared to win. A few days after the police escorted Aaron and Lydia away, I returned to work at the bookstore, hoping for a sense of normalcy. It was a quiet afternoon when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Jesse. "Aaron and Lydia here now. Be careful." My heart pounded. Moments later, the bell above the shop's door jingled, and they stormed in. Aaron's eyes were cold, and Lydia's face was twisted with anger. "You can't run, Eva," Aaron said, striding towards the counter. "You think you can just cut me off and hide?" I stood my ground. "This is not your place, Aaron. Leave, or I'll call the police again." Lydia slammed her hand on the counter. "You're making a mistake. You think you're so clever, but you'll lose everything." I clenched my fists. "Get out, now." "We had a deal, Eva," Aaron sneered, leaning closer. "You agreed to share everything, but you've gone behind my back." "No, Aaron, you broke our trust," I shot back. "You lied and manipulated me. Now you're facing the consequences." "Consequences?" Lydia spat. "You'll regret dragging my family through the mud. You have no proof of anything." I looked her in the eye. "I have more than enough proof. You impersonated me at the bank, committed fraud. You and Aaron will pay for this." Aaron's face twisted with rage. "You don't scare us, Eva. We can ruin you." I held up my phone, recording their every word. "Say all you want, but this is going to the authorities. You'll pay for everything you've done." The door pushed open, and my boss, Mr. Reed, stepped in. He took one look at the scene and approached. "Is there a problem here?" "These people were just leaving," I said firmly, glaring at Aaron and Lydia. Aaron let out a bitter laugh. "You haven't heard the last of this," Lydia added. "You made the wrong enemies, Eva." Mr. Reed folded his arms, towering over them. "You heard her. Leave now, or I'm calling the police." Aaron and Lydia stormed out, muttering curses under their breath. I sagged against the counter, relief flooding through me. "You okay?" Mr. Reed asked, concern in his eyes. "Thank you," I said, taking a deep breath. "I'm fine. Just some unresolved issues." He nodded. "If they come back, don't hesitate to call for help." I watched as Aaron and Lydia sped away, their threats ringing in my ears. But I wasn't afraid anymore. Their desperation was clear. It only made me stronger. That evening, I met with my lawyer and handed over the latest evidence. They showed up at my workplace, made threats. I recorded it all, I explained. He nodded, a grim smile on his face. "This strengthens our case. We'll bring everything to light in court." Leaving his office, I felt a renewed sense of determination. I was ready for the next step. Aaron and Lydia had tried to intimidate me, but they were the ones who would pay dearly. As I drove back to Jesse's, my phone rang. It was her. "Everything okay, Eva?" "Yeah, everything's fine. Just had a run-in with Aaron and Lydia at work, but we're moving forward." "Good," Jesse said. "Stay strong. You're almost there." "I will," I promised, feeling the weight of her support. The ultimate showdown loomed on the horizon, and I knew I wouldn't face it alone. The fight for justice and peace had only just begun, but I was more than ready to see it through. The courtroom was packed. Aaron and Lydia sat across from me, their eyes burning with indignation. This was it, the moment of truth. My lawyer, Mr. Carter, stood and presented our case. "Your Honor, we have clear evidence of fraud and deceit committed by Aaron and Lydia against my client, Eva. They have manipulated finances, attempted illegal access to accounts, and made explicit threats." Aaron's lawyer tried to defend him. "Your Honor, these accusations are exaggerated. Aaron was just managing shared finances, and any accusations of fraud are unfounded." "Unfounded?" Mr. Carter countered, handing over the recording. "This recording, taken by Eva, explicitly captures Aaron and Lydia's threats and admissions of their actions." The judge leaned forward, listening intently. Aaron's face fell as his own voice echoed through the courtroom, spouting hate and threats. Lydia's expression turned cold, realization dawning on her. "Enough," the judge said, raising a hand. Turning to Aaron and Lydia, he continued, "I have heard enough to make my decision." Aaron looked panicked. "Your Honor, I was under a lot of stress. I didn't mean those things." "It's too late for excuses," the judge replied sternly. "The evidence is clear. You have committed fraud and shown a clear pattern of manipulation and abuse." Lydia stood up, desperation in her eyes. "Please, Your Honor, we didn't mean any harm." "Sit down," the judge commanded, and Lydia obeyed, her face ashen. The judge's gavel came down with a sense of finality. Aaron and Lydia are to repay the misappropriated funds and will face legal consequences for their fraudulent actions. I breathed a sigh of relief. It was over. Justice had been served. Aaron's face crumbled, tears of anger and disbelief streaming down his cheeks. Lydia looked defeated, her plans falling apart before her eyes. Outside the courthouse, Mr. Carter gave me a reassuring smile. "You did well, Eva. This is a significant victory." "Thank you," I said, feeling the weight lift off my shoulders. "Now you need to focus on rebuilding your life," Mr. Carter advised. "You've shown incredible strength." Walking away from the courthouse, I saw Aaron being led away, handcuffed. He caught my eye, his rage clear. "You haven't seen the last of me," he growled. I didn't reply, just kept walking. His power over me was gone. That evening, Jessie and I celebrated quietly. "To new beginnings," she toasted. "To freedom," I echoed, clinking glasses. Aaron's downfall was public and complete. He lost his job, his reputation, and now faced a significant financial penalty. Lydia withdrew into isolation, her social standing tarnished beyond repair. My life was far from perfect, but I felt hopeful for the first time in years. The storm had passed, leaving behind the wreckage of Aaron's deceit. I was ready to rebuild, stronger and wiser than before. As I went to bed that night, I couldn't help but smile. The fight was over, the battle won. And while Aaron and Lydia faced the consequences of their actions, I had reclaimed my life. The scars would heal, and with each passing day, I would find peace and strength anew. The weeks after the court ruling were a whirlwind. Life slowly started to piece itself back together. I stabilized my job at the bookstore, dived into work, and found solace in the daily routine. Jessie remained my rock, always there with a reassuring word or a comforting hug. One afternoon, while shelving some books, a soft-spoken voice interrupted my thoughts. "Excuse me, could you help me find The Great Gatsby?" I turned to see a tall man with gentle eyes and a warm smile. "Sure, it's just over here," I said, leading him to the classics section. "Thank you," he said, looking thoughtfully at the books. "I'm Patrick, by the way." "Eva," I replied, shaking his hand. "Do you need help with anything else?" Patrick smiled. "Just looking for something good to read. Any recommendations?" We spent the next few minutes talking about books. There was something calming about him, an air of genuine kindness I hadn't experienced in a long time. Over the coming weeks, Patrick became a regular customer, and then a friend. One evening, as I closed the store, Patrick waited outside. "Care for a coffee?" he asked, a hopeful expression on his face. "Sure." I nodded, feeling a nervous excitement. At the cafe, the conversation flowed easily. Patrick shared his love for literature, his adventures as a travel writer. I listened, feeling a warmth I hadn't felt in years. "Eva, you're amazing," Patrick said, his eyes sincere. "You've been through so much, yet here you are, standing strong." I smiled, blushing slightly. "It hasn't been easy, but I've had good friends to help me." He reached across the table, gently squeezing my hand. "I'd like to be one of those friends, if you'll let me." We continued to see each other, slowly building a bond. Patrick was careful, gentle, never pushing, always respectful. It was refreshing, a stark contrast to the chaos Aaron had brought into my life. One afternoon, while sorting through some old photos, I found a picture of Michael. Tears welled up in my eyes. Jessie, noticing my distress, sat beside me. "It's okay to remember, Eva," she said softly. "It's part of healing." "Michael was my safe place," I whispered. "I miss him every day, and it's okay to miss him," Jessie said. "But you deserve happiness, too." It was as if a weight had lifted. The memories of Michael would always be a part of me, but they didn't have to anchor me to the past. They could live alongside new memories, new happiness. Months went by, and Patrick stayed by my side. One day, as we walked through the park, he stopped and looked at me. "Eva, I care deeply for you. Will you let me be a part of your life?" It was a big step, but I felt ready. "Yes, Patrick, I'd like that." In that moment, I realized I had regained control of my life. Aaron's shadow no longer loomed over me. He faced the consequences of his actions, a stark contrast to the bright, hopeful future I was beginning to see. Patrick and I took things slow, building a relationship based on trust and care. I was mindful, ensuring not to repeat past mistakes. Each day felt like a new chapter, filled with cautious optimism and growing confidence. Eva's journey felt complete. From the darkness brought by Aaron, I had emerged stronger, resilient. With Patrick by my side, and Jessie always there to support me, I felt a sense of peace and hope. The storm had passed, and the future looked bright. In the end, it was not just about the revenge or the drama. It was about reclaiming my life, learning to trust again, and finding a balanced new beginning. And in that, I found my true strength.